somewhere between 2 and 13 seasons, depending on which indigenous community or where they are, where they're based and where they live, which makes complete sense.
It's micro-tuned to the characteristics of those areas.
And they had to know, they needed to know, it was very important to know when eels would be spawning, when the acacias would have seed that they could collect. And so in a way, very much a necessity. And if you look particularly around Melbourne, where we are, the Kulin Nation, they have 7 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And they're split up. If you look at this time of year, there is a March season. There's a separate March season for eels. And that's there's meant to be hot winds that's sort of stopping around this time. So you do get a sort of a stopping of some of those summer temperatures and winds. Manna gums are in flower, which I know is true out at our Cranbourne Gardens at the moment. So they're just coming into flower. And they also notice the day length being about the same. So they see March as quite a special time.
And that makes sense of the season rather than just some sort of an abstract construct that only really, you see it on the news, on the weather. That's when you sort of see where you are. But if you're gauging that by the flowering of a tree, if you're gauging that by the appearance of a particular creature, that gives very concrete form to those seasonal changes.
And it is how we sense seasons. We don't really sense them so much. Well, we notice temperature and day length, but people often talk about spring, particularly when they see the first spring flowers coming in, or first daffodil, or whatever it is. They sense it by these biological changes. So there's something inherently, I think, in us as humans that we do detect those, but we use the wrong seasons in Australia.
Tell us about those 7 for the Melbourne area. So we're in that March one currently.
That's right. Then we move into an April-July one, which is called a wombat, a warring wombat season. And so they're related again to animals and plants. So you have a cooler winter season. August again is on its own as an early orchid season, early spring season. And in this kind of seasonal system I think we should have in southern Australia, I definitely think we need an early spring that goes in around that time. You get into September and October, a tadpole season, you move through into grass flowering, kangaroo apples. These are the names, sort of summarise a whole lot of information, many tens of thousands of years of information.
We know instinctively too, from the place we live, that the wind shifts that occur in particular seasons, the tendency for the strength of that wind, the tendency for rainfall, all those things come and go.
Yeah, I had a friend in Sydney who used to talk about the adolescent season, which was in October, November. And I think that's a distinct season in southern Australia because it was changeable and it was unpredictable, and particularly around Sydney, there were winds coming in one day, and it was it was a lovely description, an evocative description of that time of year.
What are you noticing in your gardens? It's interesting, the botanic gardens within Melbourne, Victoria, because there are different habitats, different style of garden, and very different range of species within them. So with that extra heat that we're experiencing, how is that manifesting in your plants, your gardens?
It's an interesting thing to try and track. A bit like I said, we have bad memories of the last years. We keep good data of all those plants that we grow, both in Melbourne Gardens and Cranbourne. So we have an Australian garden, and we have a much more European setting with more water added to the garden. And look, we do notice some things not coping as well. So we know things like rhododendrons are not growing so well in our garden, and we would be moving them up to higher altitudes into dandelion gardens. We know those kind of changes. This time of year, you see a few trees starting to their leaves brown off. I don't think that's really an early autumn. It's more a late summer sort of blush or flush that they're just struggling a bit.
Plane trees all over the city in that sort of
it's in that funny sort of place. They'll look like that, a bit ratty for a while. They may not lose all their leaves for another month or two, because April, May is really true, what I call true autumn, when you start to see the real colours change.
So you have that great benefit of being able to shift plants around your various locations of microclimates. For people at home, keen gardeners may be noticing that there are plants within their garden that
she's not eating it.
A decade or so have done perfectly well, and suddenly
she's not ripping it to bits so much as cuddling it,
in the same way as if you've got a wall, we can keep something a little bit warmer or cooler,
holding it up against her chest.
That's effectively what we do in the botanic garden. We'll plant things near the lake, or we plant things shade, or the tap.
It's as if she enjoys the sensation of foam rubber, and she's ripped the cushion off the chair. And every day she comes along and has her little encounter with the foam rubber cushion, and every day I put the cushion back after she goes. I have no idea why this 1.5, 2-year-old doe eastern grey kangaroo is in love with a piece of foam rubber, but she apparently is.
I think we asked her in summer and March, wait till April, May to do your autumn pass, and then get ready for the early spring. So just adjust your thinking a little bit. Nothing too dramatic at this time of year.
I'm reaping out all the tomatoes this week.
Oh, I'm doing that too, but very ratty, very dark. And I forgot to water mine for a couple of days. We saw director of the Royal Botanic Gardens in Melbourne and a man who forgets to water his tomatoes. Thank you. Thank you. News is next here on our read, after which lost and found.
And there she goes. Oh, that is the funniest thing I've seen for quite a while. Yes, the kangaroo named Prospector.
What do we believe? How do we express it? And why does it matter? I'm Meredith Blake, asking the big
The
questions
daughter
on Soul Search, a new show
of Mrs.
exploring
Whitetail,
contemporary religion and spirituality. Sundays at 6,
the
Thursdays
eastern grey kangaroo with a foam fetish. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.